Hey everyone, welcome to my tutorial video. In this video, I'll be demonstrating on how to simulate pedestrian pathway using 3ds Max and Tyflow. So let's start with setting out our scene. So we first need a surface. So we'll use a plane. Next, we'll open up Tyflow. So Tyflow, it's a bit too small, but just draw that again. Tyflow, and then we for sure need a tile icon for our particles. So tile icon, too small. Okay, and then to open up our editor, so go to edit, modify, and then open editor. Make that smaller. Okay, so now we'll do birth. Let's change the small dots to large dots. Multiply that by 3, so it's easier to visualize. And then let's say we've got total amount of 10 people walking our cities. Next, we'll definitely need the position icon operator. Pick, so that's our particles. Next, we need a path finder or path finding operator. Move that down. Okay, so first we'll need to pick the mesh and set destination to wind up. So if you know Pack Catcher, this is basically a version of that. Okay, now let's bring in our buildings and shadows. So to do that, I've created a quick sort of a bitmap for building and shaded area. So let's do that. So to do that, press M for materials, or you can go up top and just drag this because I have a small laptop, and press this button for material editor. Right click, general, physical material, right click, map, general, bitmap. Let's use this one. .png is okay. You can use .png or JPEG or even Photoshop as your bitmap. Load that in. Click on your surface, right click, and assign to material. Okay, so now just imagine people's walking your city, and you want to now set up a path, for them. So to do that, I'm going to use line. Okay. So try that again. Line there to there. Okay. I also have the spline offset plugin. So I'm going to use that to offset my lines. Line offset. It's too wide. Okay. And use edit mesh. Okay. So instead of the plane, we've got a footpath. So I go back to your path finding operator, remove that, pick the path, and you can see people are moving along the path. Now, to help visualize, let's do data or display data. Display data. This can go all the way to the bottom, and then instead of, let's go to action. Let's do test action and change this to, we'll call it people. So we get a custom flow increment, basically how much what's the distance or how much people's moving. So go back to ID, and instead of birth ID, we'll just use the custom flow ID that we just named, which is called people. Now you can see they're moving, okay, with our custom ID. So for example, let's say if our participants can only walk in the sun maybe for 10 frames, which is, or 3 frames, which is, let's say each frame is 1 second, and 30 seconds to a minute is their max amount of time they can walk in the sun. So to do that, we'll need a surface test. Basically, surface test allows you to tell Tyflow your surface and the bitmap that you loaded. To do this, pick on the surface, which is our plane, and then scroll down. Instead of distance, we'll do texture, and we can pick our texture, which is this one here. Click OK. Okay. So we also need to set surface test to text action, increment custom flow to people. This should make it work. Let's move that. Actually, let's move this into the shade. Okay, so it is working. So let's see, let's check on this parameter. So if the person is walking in the sun, it's not increasing. However, if it's in the shade, the number is increasing. We actually want the opposite of that. So because the building is shaded, if the building is shaded, well, you should be allowed to walk extra time, so the number should not increase. So let's do this. Instead of setting to less than, let's set greater than. So people is now walking in the shade, the number is not increasing. Right, as soon as they get into non-shaded area, the number is increasing. So going back to walking to, let's say max is a minute, so I've got 60 frames, which is the max amount of time. For testing, let's just stretch this out. So the path is a bit longer, and let's make this longer too. Back spline on this, just drag that there. Okay, let's start here. Go. Okay, so in the shade, back into the shade, these particles here, and then they've reached the walking in the sun. I need a longer timeline. Let's do 120. And actually, we also need a realistic speed. So let's do proximity 1.4. No. Yeah, so this one here, pathfinding. Instead of 1.5, let's do 1.4, which is 1.4 meters per second. That's how fast an average person would walk. And looks like we need a lot more frames, so let's change that to let's change that 3 minutes, so 180. Okay, so the number exceeds, and let's say this operator is now more than a minute in the sun. They could get sunburn or they have sensitive skin. To help better visualize this, I'm going to add a stop operator. Stop. Then you will need to set the filter, enable your filter, press add. To set position to custom flow, and then set this to greater or equal to. Set timing to continuous. Set the channel to people, and of course change it to 60. Basically, people are stopped at 60 because they know they'll get sick or get sunburned. So let's start from the beginning. Okay, so it did stop. So that's pretty much, if you wanted to know the max amount of distance people can walk. So this operator is going straight and they've already stopped because the number are 70 and 61. But there. Let's run that one last time from the beginning. And so at about 2 minutes and a half, that's when the first person reaches to the end in terms of their tolerance to the sun. Yeah, so that's how you use the pathfinding operator in Tyflow on 3ds Max. Hopefully this helps your project. Thank you for watching.